So welcome back to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie Crochet. Today I'm showing you how to make your very own perfect pairs square. This square uses the paired half double crochet and a half double crochet two together, so you get to see the difference between those stitches regardless of how similar they are. Now before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out on another one of my crochet tutorials or granny square patterns again. Let's find out those materials that you're going to need to make your own perfect pairs square. So the materials that you're going to need to make your own perfect pairs square is going to be some Aran or worsted weight yarn. I'm sticking with my PaintBox Yarns Simply Aran. This is marked as a size 4 yarn and I'm going to be using the shade Champagne White, which is number 202. I have the recommended hook size for this yarn, which is a 5mm crochet hook. I also have, of course, a pair of scissors and a darning needle so we can get those ends woven in. So gather all of those materials and let's get started. So this square is worked in rows, so we're going to be starting to make our chain. So we're going to make our slip knot and place that onto our hook. And from here we're going to be making a chain of 24. So we just yarn over the hook and bring that loop through to make our chain, and we're going to do that 24 times. So make your chain and I'll meet you ready to continue with row 1. So once we have our chain of 24, we're going to continue with row 1 by making 1 half double crochet, which is the same as a UK half treble crochet, into the second chain from hook. So we yarn over the hook, we're not counting this loop or that first chain, we're going to work into that second chain from hook, going under that top loop, yarning over, bringing a loop up, so we have those 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. We're going to work 1 half double crochet into each chain across, so we yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And we just continue to do that all the way back across this chain, and at the end of row 1 you should have a stitch count of 23 half double crochets. No. At the end of row 1 you should have 23 half double crochets. That first chain that we skipped we're not counting as a stitch, so our stitch count should be 23. Going into row 2 we start by making a turning chain of 1, and then in this row we're going to work 1 half double crochet into each stitch across. So we're going to work into that same stitch we've just done the chain 1 out of, because it does not count as a stitch. So we yarn over the hook, insert the hook to bring a loop up, and then pull through all 3 loops. And we're repeating that all the way down, working 1 half double crochet into each stitch, and I'll meet you at the end. So at the end of row 2 you should still have a stitch count of 23 half double crochets. Going into row 3 we're going to start making our paired half double crochets. So we make our turning chain of 1 and turn our work. So we're going to work 1 half double crochet into that first stitch before we start working our paired half double. So the paired half double crochet is worked over the stitch you've just worked into and the next stitch, and it's working a half double crochet 2 together across those 2 stitches. So let's do a couple of these together. So we yarn over the hook, insert our hook into the same stitch we've just worked into, we yarn over, bring our loop up, and we yarn over the hook again and insert our hook into the next stitch. Yarn over, bring our loop up. We should have 5 loops on our hook, and then we yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, and that makes that paired half double crochet. We then work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, so not into where we've just done that pair, but into the next stitch along. We're going to repeat this all the way across, so we're going to work a paired half double crochet across the current and next stitch, and then we're going to work a half double crochet into the next stitch. So let's do the next paired half double together. We yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch we've just worked into, yarn over to bring our loop up, yarn over the hook, insert it into the next stitch, yarn over to bring that 5th loop up, and then we yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on our hook. So once we've worked that paired half double, we're then going to work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch. Let's work the next set together. So we yarn over the hook, reinserting our hook into the same stitch that we've just worked into. Bring that loop up, we yarn over again and insert our hook into the next stitch, bring up a 5th loop and then yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, followed by a half double crochet into the next stitch. So you can see this wonderful texture that these paired half doubles are creating. So continue to work 1 paired half double, followed by, she says quickly enough, by a half double crochet into the next stitch all the way along. So continue across and I will meet you at the end of row 3. So I'm just working my last half double crochet into that last stitch of row 3, and that completes this row. So your stitch counts for row 3 is you would now still have a stitch count of total of 23, but you should have 11 paired half doubles, those nice little bobbles, and 12 half double crochets. So going into row 4, we're going to repeat row 2. So we're going to chain 1, and then in this row we're just going to work 1 half double crochet into each stitch across. So at the end of row 4 you should have a stitch count of 23 half double crochets, and for row 5 once again we're just going to repeat row 2. So that's placing 1 half double crochet into each stitch across, and I'll meet you for row 6 shortly, where we're going to be working another stitch. So I'm just working my last half double crochet in row 5, and I still have a stitch count of 23 half double crochets, and we're going straight into row 6, which is going to be a variation of the paired half double crochet, which is actually the traditional half double 2 together. So I've done my chain 1, and we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1, and then from here we're going to work our half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over the hook, insert the hook, bring our loop up, yarn over, insert the hook, bring a 5th loop up, yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. We're then going to work a chain 1, because otherwise our stitch count is going to decrease because we've worked a decrease stitch. We're then going to continue to work our half double crochets 2 together into the next stitch. So we insert our hook, bring a loop up, yarn over again, bring a loop up, yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, followed by a chain 1. We're going to repeat that the whole way along this row. So we're going to work our half double crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. So we yarn over, insert the hook, bring our loop up, yarn over, insert the hook, bring a 5th loop up, yarn over, pull through, pull through all 5 loops. Goodness me, sorry, it's very warm here, so I can only assume I'm making my yarn sticky. And then we follow it with a chain 1. So continue to repeat that all the way down, working your half double crochet 2 together, followed by a chain 1, and I'll meet you at the end of row 6. So at the end of row 6, I've just worked my final half double crochet 2 together across those last 2 stitches. Will be 11 half double crochet 2 togethers. You've got 11 chain 1 spaces, and right at the beginning we've got that first half double crochet that we worked. So it gives us a total stitch count of 23. Going into row 7, we're going to start with our chain 1 to turn, and then we're going to work 1 half double crochet in the top of that stitch underneath the chain 1, and then we chain 1. And we're ready to start our pattern for this row, and we're going to work 1 half double crochet 2 together across the chain 1 space and in the top of this stitch from the previous row. So we yarn over the hook, insert our hook into the chain 1 space, bring a loop up, yarn over, there's the top of our stitch because that's our chain 1. So we insert our hook underneath that stitch, yarn over, bring our 5th loop up, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops and chain 1. So we're going to repeat that, if I get some more yarn, all the way down this row. So work into our half double crochet 2 together, into our chain 1 space and into the top of that stitch from the previous row, followed by a chain 1. So repeat that all the way down and I will meet you at the end of row 7. At the end of row 7, we've got these last 2 stitches remaining and we've done our chain 1. We're just going to work 1 half double crochet into that last stitch and that ends row 7. So our stitch count for the end of row 7 is you should have 10 half double crochet 2 togethers, 11 chain 1 spaces and a half double crochet at each end. So for row 8 we start with a chain 1 and we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the top of each stitch and each chain 1 space across. Oops. I'm working into the chain spaces rather than into the actual chains. You can work into the chains if you prefer. I just think it makes the chain 1 spaces more pronounced personally. So keep working 1 half double crochet into the top of each stitch and into each chain 1 space across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 8. So I'm just working my last half double crochet into the top of that last stitch for row 8, and at the end of row 8 we were back to our stitch count of 23 half double crochets. So for rows 9 to 14 we're going to repeat rows 3 to 8. Don't forget these are all time stamped below for you, so you can just go into the description box, go down to the start of row 3 which is time stamped for you, and repeat all the way up to row 8. Once you've completed rows 9 to 14, repeating rows 3 to 8, you're going to go on and repeat rows 2 and 3 for rows 15 and 16, and then rows 17 and 18, you're going to repeat row 5. Once you've done all of those repeats, don't forget the written pattern is available on the website if you need it, all linked in the description box, but I'm going to timestamp this little section, well the section before I told you the repeats, so that you can definitely make sure you're going to make this square beautifully. And I'm going to meet you for our edging once you've gotten all of that repeated and you've just finished row 18. Come on back and we will get that edging done. So I've just finished my last stitch in row 18 and I'm ready to do my edging. So let's do that together. Just like with all the other blanket squares that we've made so far, we're going to start by working down the edge of our square, making our corner, working back all the way around in one big square circle, if that makes sense. So we start by making a chain of 1 and then we're going to work evenly down, working into the ends of each rows, placing 1 single crochet into the end of each row. Now because these rows are 1 chain deep, if that makes sense, at the beginning we just did a turning chain of 1, we're going to aim to work a total of 24 single crochets evenly down the side of this square. And this is actually not the same number of rows that we have, so we need to place a couple of extras into those chain 1 spaces. So you see there I've got an extra space in between that row. I'm just going to work 1 extra one there. There's only 1 or 2 we need to add on, so it's just making sure that you evenly work 24 single crochets down the side of your square. So continue to work, obviously making sure that you're not causing your square to bunch up or to flare out too much. And you're working 24 all the way evenly down the ends. I'll meet you in this first corner where we're going to work our corner stitch. So I've reached the last stitch here and I'm ready to work my first corner. So I'm going to work 1 single crochet, a chain 1 and then another single crochet into that same stitch, and that just adds on our corner. As you can see, it creates a nice little edging all the way around this square. To carry on with this round, we're going to work into the base of each chain and each stitch all the way across to this next corner where our starting slip knot was. So keep working along, placing 1 single crochet into the other end of your chain, and I'll meet you ready for the next corner. So once you've reached our next corner, again we work 1 single crochet, a chain 1 and another single crochet into that same stitch, and we're ready to work back along the edge of the rows again, working evenly working 24 single crochets all the way up to this top corner, and that's where I'm going to meet you. So keep working 1 single crochet into the end of each row, aiming for a total stitch count of 24 by the time you reach that next corner. So I've reached the top of my my last row, and in that first stitch is where I'm going to work my corner. So 1 single crochet, a chain 1, and then another single crochet into the same stitch, and that's our next edge done. So finally we're just going to work 1 single crochet into the top of each stitch across, ready to join at the end here. So work across, working into the top of each stitch from your row 18, and I'll meet you ready to work our first corner and to slip stitch to join. So I'm back to the last stitch along the top. I'm just going to work my corner of my single crochet, chain 1 and another single crochet, and I'm ready to slip stitch to that first single crochet that I made. So just insert the hook, bring up a loop and pull through the loop on your hook. I'm going to make a little chain 1 to create a knot, and then we are ready to fasten off. There we are. And that is the completed Perfect Pairs square. I do like that it rhymes, it makes me chuckle. I really hope that you've enjoyed making your own Perfect Pairs square, and of course I'll be back tomorrow with you for another granny square project that's going to be quick and easy to stitch up. Of course, make sure you've hit that subscribe button and the all important notification bell so that you get made aware as soon as that video goes live. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again tomorrow.